Hey everybody, it's Ben. I'm back with another cigar review. And I know it's been a little while since I've done a cigar review, and that's because I've been traveling around, and one of the places I went to Nicaragua to cigar safari put on my Drew estate. And there we actually toured the My Father factory and the Oliva factory, and we actually toured the Drew estate factory, of course, also. It kind of took up most of my week, so that's why last week I actually missed my review. I didn't have anything taped and ready to go. But anyway, I'm back now. I'll get back into the swing of things. And something that I got just before I left that I let it sit a while, just so I can, let it acclimate to the very humid weather we got here through the mail system, was the new Fuente Solaris. Now, what this cigar is, it's another microblend that Smokin is doing at their Florida cigar shops, and they're selling these in boxes of 10 for 90 bucks. It's a 6x49 Bellicoso, and what this is an Ecuadorian Sun Grown wrapper that had actually been blended and made into a Bellicoso about 6 years ago by Carlos Fuente Sr. And when Smokin approached him about doing a microblend, he thought this would be a great cigar to do it, because basically what it was kind of a one-off that they did. It was a very light wrapper for an Ecuadorian Sun Grown. You've seen that about it. But anyway, it was very light, especially compared to their normal Sun Growns, which are the foot. So I decided to just go ahead and use these wrappers and blend them up and basically make something special, but there wasn't enough to actually put it out as normal production. So actually, when Abe, from Smokin, contacted him about doing this micro blend, it was perfect, because there was a small batch, good enough for a little micro blend from Smokin, match made in heaven. So here it is. Like I said, these retail for about $8.90 a stick, but you can buy them in a box of 10 for, was it $89.50 at Smokin right now. It's very small production on these. I kind of can't remember exactly what the number is, but it's only, I think it was only a few hundred boxes if I remember right. It was a very small amount of cigars actually produced for this anyway. But they didn't really tell us exactly what the binder and filler was, so that'll just have to be a secret, I guess. So anyway, I showed you the filler already. I'm going to look at the cap here. Come on. Focus. Let me back up a little bit. Nice cap so far. Not a super uber sharp Perdomo, but nice cap anyway. See, it's got a pretty decent oily sheen to it. Not too bad. Let's go ahead and clip this to see how it's shaping up. Like I said, it's been aged for about 6 years, so I'm expecting it to be kind of mellow, and I'm sure they're using all Dominican tobacco with the filler binder and all that, so I'm expecting to be relatively mild. And not to mention, you see the green band on there. First thing you would think of is that's the Fuente Core Live band. So, and as most seasoned smokers know that that's the mildest of the Fuentes, besides like they're like curly heads and whatnot. But it's a mild stick. So immediately what came to mind when I saw this was it's going to be a milder cigar. So anyway, let's go ahead and check it out and see how it goes. A lot of smoke coming off this thing. Yeah, it's very mild cigar, but it has a nice, like, toasted flavor, like almost like a toasted oat flavor. A little bit of honey sweetness, but it's very mild. It's just like an accent. It's just really not even a huge flavor, but you pick up that nice honey note. and it's got a pretty decently long finish. Actually, I can still taste it right now, so that's pretty impressive. I like that long finish. And I'm just getting a nice, like basically just a nice natural tobacco note, some like a toasted oat note, kind of like I don't know. It kind of just reminds me of like, I don't know. It just reminds me of like baked bread or like oatmeal or something like that. Kind of that oaty flavor, and like honey. That's basically what I'm getting right off the bat here. It's definitely very mild, but the flavors I'm getting off of it are pretty good, actually, especially for a mild stick. Really nice. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and now smoke the first third, and I'll be back to give you my impressions. See you in a second. Hey everybody. I'm about to the actually, I'm probably a little bit past the first third mark. Anyway, the cigar, it's definitely still a mild cigar, but it picked up a little bit of intensity, but not too much. It's still a very mild cigar, but it has a lot of flavor to it. What I really enjoy about it is probably right about the end of the first third, it started to ramp up a lot on the flavor. I mean, it got a lot more bold on the flavor side of it. And what I was getting a lot of it was, a lot of the most flavor I was getting out of it was a really nice buttery nuttiness to it, kind of like, almost remind me of like cashew nuttiness or something like that. And it developed a more pronounced sweetness. Not like the honey that I was getting before, that real light, mellow sweetness, but this is a little bit more forward. I guess maybe because with that butteriness I was getting with that nutty flavor, what it reminded me of was like kind of like a caramel flavor. That smooth, buttery sweetness you get from like the caramel candies and stuff like that. That's kind of what I was getting off the cigar. It's developing to a really nice, flavorful cigar. I'm really digging this. I mean, even though it's a very mild cigar, I'm still really enjoying the flavor of this thing. This is so far. This is the first cigar of the day for me. Also, I'm actually getting a little bit late to the day. This is actually about mid-afternoon for me, so it's actually going really, really well for a cigar of the day. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and smoke the second third, and I'll be back in a second to give you my impressions. See you in a minute. Anyway, I'm back, and I'm finished with the second third now. The flavors remain pretty much consistent with the second third. I mean, with the first third on the second third, but near the very end of the second third, it actually started developing a slight bitterness to it, kind of like a coffee bitterness, but not the coffee flavor, but just that nice bitterness. And it kind of actually matches well with the sweetness. It kind of tones it down a little bit, and actually they mesh well together, to be honest. So nice flavors on this so far. I mean, it's just pretty good. I mean, it's definitely a mild stick. It's definitely mild, but it's one of the more flavorful cigars that I've had, with a mild body. It's definitely one of the top. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and finish this off, and I'll be back to give you my final impressions. See you in a second. Hey everybody, we're back, and I'm into the final third here. The final third is kind of transitioned back to where the beginning of the cigar started. That nuttiness, that buttery nuttiness, and that caramel flavor that I got in most cigars is pretty much gone. And what I'm left with is like an earthy bitterness and that honey flavor, and kind of like that toasted oat kind of a flavor too. And that's the only flavors I'm getting on the final of the cigar. Now, it was a very mild bodied cigar from the beginning to the end, but really nice, rich flavors throughout the whole cigar. So to me, it's a winner. And I don't smoke mild cigars very often, but when they have this much flavor, I do smoke these. So to me, this is definitely box worthy. I really enjoyed this, and to me, this would be like a good morning cigar or the first cigar, early afternoon, something like that, like a lunch cigar, after like a light meal or something like that. It would be great. But for me, the way I see this, for me, it would be a great cigar paired with my morning coffee. That's exactly what I think this would be just a perfect match for. I also think this would be a pretty nice cigar to pair with bourbon. As most of y'all know, I'm a bourbon drinker. I like different bourbons or whatever. To me, this would pair really well with pretty much any bourbon. So, I don't know. Tonight I'm gonna try actually pairing it with two of my favorites, and one of them being my Four Roses single barrel, and the other one being probably my favorite kind of under the radar bourbon. It's my Bernheim Original Winter Wheat. This is one of my favorites, and I really think it would pair really well with either one of these. You got a good caramel sweetness in the Four Rose bourbon, but what I'm interested in trying out with this pairing is the Bernheim has a nice orange, kind of an orange peel flavor to it that I'm really curious to see how that will interact with the honey and the caramel flavors I'm getting off this. So anyway, I'm going to try that out later on my last sample that I got. The Smokey only sent me 2 samples, so I went ahead and smoked. This is my first impressions. So this is only off of one cigar, because I always like to save one cigar just in case something just really weird happens. Then I'll always have a backup that I can actually review and to show you what my impressions are. So I've got one left of the sample that they sent. They sent actually several bloggers the packets or the samples that to review. So I got one I'm going to pair with bourbon tonight. Now I'll probably put some impressions of that actually in the write-up section of this review. So for me, this is definitely a winner, and I'm definitely probably going to get a box of these, because a box is $89.50, I think is what it was on the website. I mean, to me, that's a really good deal for a box of 10 of these, and it's a really, really limited release, so it probably won't be around for very long. So I'm probably going to snag me a box myself when I probably stop filming this. So anyway, on that note, remember, nothing beats a nice tight ash.